Last month, Bangladesh saw a wave of protests that began peacefully but quickly turned violent. Schools and colleges across the country were shut down, and the government suspended mobile internet services. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is now being called a dictator by protesters. But what's behind these protests? To understand the situation, we need to look at the history of Bangladesh. Before gaining independence in 1971, Bangladesh was known as East Pakistan, under the control of West Pakistan. The people of East Pakistan faced severe social, economic, and political discrimination. Fast forward to today, the issue revolves around the government's quota system. In Bangladesh, 56% of public sector jobs are reserved for various sections of society, with 30% specifically reserved for the descendants of freedom fighters. This system, introduced in 1972, was extended to the children of freedom fighters in 1997 and to their grandchildren in 2010. The protests reignited in 2024 after the High Court reinstated this quota system, which many students believe is unfair and unconstitutional. Protesters argue that while it's understandable to reserve jobs for the original freedom fighters, extending these benefits to their grandchildren makes no sense. They claim the quota system disproportionately benefits those associated with the ruling Awami League Party, led by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. In response to the protests, the government has faced accusations of corruption and favoritism. The High Court's decision to reintroduce the quota system led to violent clashes, with paramilitary troops called in to control the situation. Despite a stay imposed by the Supreme Court, the protests have not ceased. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's remarks have further fueled the fire. She accused the protesters of disrespecting freedom fighters, a claim the protesters vehemently deny. They argue that their fight is against an unfair system, not the freedom fighters themselves. But the protests are just a symptom of a deeper issue: unemployment. Bangladesh faces severe economic challenges, with high inflation and a shortage of jobs. More than 500,000 jobs are vacant, but even filling these won't solve the unemployment crisis. The protesters demand not just the reform of the quota system, but also effective measures to create jobs and improve the economy. The call for true democratic practices and accountability from the government remains strong. The situation in Bangladesh is a complex mix of historical legacy, economic hardship, and political struggle. The path to resolving these protests lies in addressing the root causes, ensuring fair job opportunities and economic stability for all. Visit Story Hive for Part 3. Subscribe to Story Hive for more inspiring and interesting stories.